anyone who's listening. But you won't know that unless you listen this far into the podcast, because we're not telling anybody. I was to a point where I was just, in my head, I was like, should I just go and get a job in Denver making six figures up there, you know, something like that? I really don't want to do that. I think my spirit would die a little bit, you know? So,
I feel that to the core.
If you think about entrepreneurship, it is a lot of nonsense, and a lot of times it's sometimes illogical with the things that you do or why you'd put yourself through all this pain to grow something, right? But it means something to you. It has your name on it, DOS Financial. And do you give advice to like whether a company should go LLC or S-Corp?
Yeah, I do. That's one of the easiest, biggest ways to save money on taxes is to make that switch to an S-Corp.
Welcome to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, where we discuss business principles and provide real-life insight into the lives of everyday business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe or leave a review wherever you might be listening. Now, let's talk business.
Well, welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. Today we have on our show Mr. Brad Doss with DOS Financial. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we love this. We haven't had a lot of financial guys on the show before.
Altitude Financial Planning. So, Rick.
And I run the bank. I'm responsible for everything that happens in the bank.
I am a former financial advisor. I'm a best-selling author of 2 books on finance.
I run a financial planning practice.
So my business is with 5 Rings Financial.
So yes, I was working for Thriving Financial.
Okay. But before we get into what you do, tell us a little bit about DOS Financial.
Yeah, so we are an accounting firm based in Pueblo right now, but I call ourselves a remote accounting firm because we have clients in, I think almost 20 states now that we've worked with people. But I graduated from CSUP in 2016 with my accounting degree, started the company I graduated in 2014, started the company in 2016.
Nice.
So we're coming up on 7 years now. We do, mostly we work with business owners.
Yeah.
We don't do a ton of individual tax returns, but we do monthly bookkeeping, payroll, sales tax, and then obviously your year-end tax returns, but we also do proactive tax planning twice a year for all of our monthly clients too. So, yeah, that's kind of DOS Financial in a nutshell for you.
That's pretty cool. So we did a little bit of research on you, Pueblo native, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice, nice. So you grew up there. You haven't moved away or anything like that?
Nope, unfortunately not. So that's kind of, I do want to leave Pueblo at some point.
Right.
I don't want to be a big fish in a small pond at some point, you know?
Yeah.
I'd rather be a big fish in a big pond, I suppose. But that's kind of why I want the accounting to be remote too. Because I've noticed even my Pueblo clients, I don't see them.
Yeah.
So if I can get majority of my work remotely, then I can move wherever I want.
Yeah, that's good. It's pretty good. I mean, I have a marketing company. It's kind of the same thing.
And it's Recon Marketing, right? They sponsor this show. Recon Marketing. Recon Marketing has been longtime sponsors of this show, and Marcus just said, one of our sponsors of the show.
Yeah.
Recon Marketing meets you where you're at in your business and helps you market your business. And you guys really take care of people's and businesses' marketing needs, whether it's SEO, content creation, web design, all that fun marketing stuff. You help businesses achieve their business goals through marketing. You attach to businesses and become part of their business essentially, but you guys just purely focus on the marketing aspects, whether that's running ads. You got the team, you got the know-how, the skills, and the resources to really take businesses to the next level with your marketing skills. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, back to what you were saying.
Have been able to spread our wings other places, and it's been super nice. But yeah, we started as a company that met with, and I don't know if you guys did this as well, but we started meeting them in person. That's how we started a company. But as you scale, things change, and you got to kind of, in this new world, especially post-COVID, you got to like be able to like, you know, hold a conversation, build culture virtually, I feel.
Oh yeah, I think it's really important, and I've done the same. I would always meet in person, but with COVID, I definitely made a strong pivot. And COVID happened in the middle of tax season, you know, so that was like a great time too. So we made a strong pivot to that, and yeah, I've made it to where 90% of my new clients are always phone call or Zoom first before we do any in person if they really want to. But I've had clients for 3-4 years that are in Pueblo and I've never even met them in person. So, but yeah, it is important. It's a virtual world, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. So with you, finance. So where did that come to be? I mean, obviously you went to school, you got a bachelor's degree, right?
Yes.
From CSU Pueblo.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where was the precipice to start your career in finance?
I don't know. I've always been a math guy. I've always been like a numbers guy. I don't think there's many accounting classes in high school, but I went to Pueblo's high school and we had one random accounting class that I ended up taking, and I loved how everything just balanced. Like, I don't know. It's just something in me really appreciated how everything balanced and perfectly. So when I went to college, I was just a business major my first year. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll do like business management. And then actually a professor, a biology professor I was talking to that I knew, he was like, what are you going to manage? He's like, that's dumb. Just do something else. And I was like, okay, well, I took accounting one time, so I'll just do that now. And so I just went into accounting. I really enjoyed it during college. So I graduated in 2014. I started applying for accounting jobs throughout the whole state, and nothing materialized from that. I ended up doing like kind of like a subcontracting work for one lady to help on a bigger accounting job down in Pueblo, and then she didn't want to deal with that job, so she gave it to another local accountant down there who had 12 clients that he didn't want to deal with. So he essentially gave me those 12 clients, and I paid him X number, like 20% or whatever of what I was bringing in to take it off of his plate, and he was still doing taxes and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it all started, and started with like the bookkeeping and the payroll stuff, and then got into taxes, and that's really where I find a lot more enjoyment now, is the game of income tax and tax planning and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm sure it was baptism by fire, I'm assuming, because when I was up and coming in marketing, I did something similar. I took on someone's book of clients, and it was a challenge. Just kind of like, okay, you go from like kind of in practice or supporting somebody to like taking on and being client facing. It's like a whole nother game. Did you have some like crazy learning mistakes early on with that book of clients?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. I didn't make any like crazy I didn't make any accounting. I mean, I made accounting mistakes, but they were corrected immediately because he was kind of still looking over everything. But it was weird, meeting people like, hi, I know you didn't hire me, but I'm now your accountant. Like, it was interesting, but it's worked out well. I think of that initial 12, there's still a couple.
They're still around?
A couple of them, I think 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. So,
oh man, that's awesome.
It's guess doing something right. So.
You know who else is doing something right? Our sponsor, Planet Duct. Planet Duct offers air duct cleaning services to businesses across the Front Range, especially here in southern Colorado. Here in Colorado Springs, Planet Duct is the premier air duct cleaning company on the streets. Planet Duct has been a longtime sponsor of this show, and in fact, he was just on an episode. You can go check that out to see how they've been doing and closing deals and seeing how he's been running his business. But that's not what this sponsor read is about. This sponsor read is about their business and how you can find them and utilize their services. PlanetDuct.com is where you can visit if you want to find out more about Planet Duct and what they do. They can help you clean out your air ducts so that you can breathe that fresh mountain air. They're not just any air duct cleaning company. Brandon, the owner of Planet Duct, goes to conferences. He's on top of all of the regulations and the entire game of air duct cleaning. This guy knows what he's doing. So make sure to check them out. Now, let's continue to listen to this episode with Brad Doss.
So did you start Doss Financial in 2016 as well?
Yeah.
So you've been around for 7 years now. How has that progression, what does it look like today versus what it was in the beginning?
Oh, it's like totally different, honestly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, starting out with those initial 12 clients, I think the guy that had initially gave me that opportunity, he didn't realize, he was thinking, oh, I need help, I'm just going to hire a subcontract, I don't want to pay payroll taxes. He really underestimated my entrepreneurial abilities to grow, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say, because I was over there with him we were in the same suite, different offices, for 4 years, I would say. So I had a really small 10 by 12 room that I was doing everything out of, and I had grown those 12 initial clients to probably around 25 or so, and it was just too much work. I started letting people down because I had way too much on my plate to manage all of that stuff. So I realized, I was like, I need more space. I need to move out and actually hire my own employees and stuff like that. Right. So we made that transition in 2020. COVID was a pretty crazy year for me, the COVID year. We made that transition, and now we have a bigger spot. We have three employees altogether, and we focus, like I said, pretty much only on business owners right now. 80% of our clients are business owners.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lean and mean. That's crazy, because especially during these times, I think it's more effective personally to have a more lean team who are just studs, studettes. Help you scale your business, especially in a world like what we live in today. I mean, Andrew have been really into like the AI and automation and all that stuff, but like that really has taken place of a lot of like growth and like having a bigger labor force behind you.
Yeah, it's not. I love having help, but when you look at how much people can get done when they are like delegated a certain task for 40 hours a week, you can get a whole lot done. Is what I'm learning. Like bookkeeping and all that would take me a long time, but that's because I would start bookkeeping and then someone would call me or email would come through or something would come up. So, but when I have someone dedicated to doing bookkeeping, it's like they can knock it out a lot quicker. And then someone dedicated to doing taxes, they can knock those out a lot quicker without the interruptions and stuff like that. And yeah, initially I thought I might need more people, but what I'm running into now is I need more clients actually right now. So it's a good problem to have, I think. It's nice to have the extra staff to grow instead of growing and then trying to bring in the extra staff is what I've learned so far. So
yeah, I think that so it's interesting because you're talking about like getting out of college and then like building a book, or I guess having a pre-existing book of clients, scaling it to like double the size of the book you initially had, and then getting employees. Like those are huge jumps, especially if necessarily entrepreneurship wasn't something you planned in the first place. Was that always something you wanted to do, is be like your own boss?
Not really. I've always done things on the side to make more money. And throughout college, I worked part-time at Walmart, but I was also buying and selling, fixing, and then reselling cell phones. Oh, that's awesome. I was making more money doing that. And so I kind of have always had that entrepreneurial side of me. But I always imagined, okay, I'll go get an accounting job, make good money for a while, save as much as I can, and then maybe see what kind of other business ventures might open up and do something like that. I never anticipated actually owning an accounting firm. But I think it's worked out for the best. It's a pretty good combination actually. And, right now I'm in the transition of going from business owner or self-employed to actually business owner. And that's a weird transition to make. A lot of learning in that. Being a self-employed person and just you own your job, not really own your business, versus owning a business.
It's a hard transition.
Night and day difference, yeah.
What do you think is the big challenge on that?
For me, it's letting go, I think, of the tasks basically at hand. I just watched a podcast with you guys recently with Planet Duct, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And he kind of mentioned that, like, you have to let your employees make mistakes and not have, don't fire them right away.
I have very high standards, so for me to turn stuff over to other people and give them authority and give them space to do what they know is right, it was very hard to do that because I was like, oh man, we get the idea. If I'm not doing it, it's not going to get done right.
That's what I was
which
thinking.
Is extremely arrogant.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it really is.
Also, if I don't let go of the reins, let somebody go out there, they don't have the opportunity to fail or to make a mistake and then learn from it. And before it's like, oh, we can't afford any mistakes, we can't afford any failure. Well, that means you can't afford to learn. And that's once I grasped that concept, I was like, okay, I need to develop my people. I need to let them fail without consequences. You know, the old brand, they would have been like, you know, you screw something up, you know, you gonna feel my wrath. You know, no. I've really mellowed out to the point where I can let people take that. I mean, yeah, and I've
those severe consequences, let them learn. And for me, it was really hard to do that. I was just, you know, well, this is how I've been doing it, and you know, like I didn't have anything down on paper too, so it was even hard trying to get what I knew how to operate the company down on paper so someone else can do it. And actually, I had systems in place, but I never put them out. They were always, all the systems were in my head. So transitioning, getting those systems out, and then you have the ability, once they're actually out and operating with other people, then you find the flaws in those systems. So it's that transition of just delegating properly, getting the systems to other people, and kind of fine-tuning those systems, and
SOPs.
What? Oh yeah, our operating procedures. Yep, exactly, exactly. So it's like 9-day difference too. I'm used to like, okay, like I'm an accountant, and now I'm like a manager, and I'm like, hey, I review taxes, but I don't do a ton of taxes. I do more tax planning. I review bookkeeping, but I don't do any bookkeeping really. And so it's weird. You have to deal with things like employees calling off now, and so didn't have that problem. You know, I was never had a management position at any time in my life either. So just learning on the fly over here.
Nice. Sounds like you've done a really good job of it, and it sounds like I don't know if you've like been able to like learn yourself through, you know, exploring different things on the internet, or if you've had like a specific mentor in your life that's helped you, you know, kind of put yourself in direction of like, okay, now this is the time where, you know, I start delegating and let folks make their own mistakes and be a leader essentially, so I can scale this thing out. Is there been any types of mentors, any types of like other business owners, ladies, you can be able to lean on? Because for us, like we're kind of a community over here. Like, I mean, us specifically, me, Andrew, Edgar behind the camera, and like a couple other like friends who are also entrepreneurs. Brian Rosmaneth as well. He's one of our good friends, who's also one of your clients. But anyways, we lean on each other, and then we kind of get the insight from one another as well. And then there's also maybe some mentorship or friendships that go into that as well. But I didn't know if you had any of that as well.
That's one thing that I really need to explore more, and it's kind of what I'm learning, and it's another reason why I was excited to do this podcast, because I do want to start networking more with people in Springs, because Pueblo is such a self-employed town. I have a lot of really good friends down there that are self-employed, not necessarily business owners, and what I'm learning is everyone I am talking to and hanging out with, I can't come to them with like, hey, employee problems or something like that, because they don't have employees, you know what I mean? So that's something that I've recognized recently in the last probably 3 or 4 months. Like I kind of need to scale up some of my relationships with people that just have more experience in where I want to bring the company and where I'm at too, because right now in my close circle, I'm kind of, I would feel like I'm maybe the mentor almost, you know what I mean? And I don't really want that role. Like I want to, you know, meet with other people that have done what I want to do, kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's Springs is 30 miles apart, but big difference when it comes to business is what
and
it
then
seems
just
like.
30 miles up that way, it's even bigger.
Whole nother thing.
It's like you're going up stages or something.
Yeah, and then you get to Cheyenne and you're back down to level.
Yeah, but that's important to have people who you're learning from, as well as people that you're teaching. I think it's good to have both. But yeah, I think that's a smart move to try to pursue that for sure.
Yeah, I think it is good to have both. And right now, I don't have both. It's like, you know, that's the one downside. So I'm kind of just learning as I go. I mean, I wouldn't say mentors, but you know, just like podcasting and internet information stuff like that's kind of the best I'm going off of now. But
they're mentors too. They just it's a one-way relationship.
Yeah. Feels a little different. You know, wait for their podcast to drop or whatever, you know. So
who's some people you're listening to?
Right now I've been listening to Pedros Coolian. I don't know if you've heard of him.
You need to mind your own business.
Is he an accountant or just business?
No, just, I don't know. He's just like some meathead guy.
Cut to a clip.
Here's a radical idea for you. Ditch your loser friends. Raise your standards. Stop making excuses. Wake up earlier. Make more money. Exercise more often. Judge less. And be kind.
He's pretty cool, man. I like him. He's just kind of like, I resonate with what his message is. Being a father to me, so I have a 2-year-old son, and
Nice.
anyone who's listening, I'm having a kid on the way, but you won't know that unless you listen this far into the podcast, because we're not telling anybody.
Okay. Congratulations.
So
man.
yeah, thank you. So
Cut
my
to
wife,
a clip. No,
cut this clip, put it in the front of the video. So being a father to me is like super important, and having that father business owner kind of collaboration. So Pedros kind of has said a lot of stuff that makes sense to me. There's also, I love finance, so I listen to the Money Guy show. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not.
You got get wealthy activities, and then you got stay wealthy activities.
They are financial planners based out of Tennessee.
Nice.
They're kind of by Dave Ramsey.
I was gonna say Dave Ramsey's territory over there.
Yep. They're kind of infringing on him. So Money Guy show is pretty cool, and then a lot of like psychology podcasts, I guess. So I've been very intrigued on how the mind works.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. Yeah,
it's good as a leader to have that as well. You know, to understand like different perspectives, because we're all so different. And you can't approach everybody in a blanketed way, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And to learn like how your body reacts to different things that you don't even know. I initially started doing that for parenting and relationships and stuff like that, but it works in everyday life. You're like, oh, I'm irrationally angry at this person, or I'm eating a donut because that guy was going 5 miles an hour on the highway or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just learn a lot of this cool stuff. So I've been really digging psychology lately.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's really cool. One thing that I've learned, I guess earlier on, to like having employees and having a team, and you could take this for with a grain of salt, but I've always found that like having one-on-ones with your team, even if it's like, it just depends how new the team is, but you get a gauge of like how also how committed they are to your brand. If you have your own brand and you have not that many employees, like that, to be pretty well vested into it, right? Because I'm sure it's like you're still a firm that's growing. They can try to go work somewhere else, but they're bought into you and your vision, and so that's really cool that they're vested in you. And so like I like to do one-on-ones with them just to get a gauge, not only like work-wise, but also like you're building a relationship with them as your employees too, as a leader. Yeah, definitely. How often are you doing one-on-ones with your? It just depends on how new they are. Like so I do a festival every year, like annual event. So I don't really like gear into like having a team for that until like the last it's like 90 days prior to the festival. So then I'll do it like weekly with all of them, just like one-on-ones and stuff like that. But like even just around here, I like to have some one-on-one time with Andrew and Edgar and whatever we're doing, working together. And then we have one employee for Recon who's full-time, and it's at least a one-on-one a week still with him. Obviously schedules are crazy. You just do the best you can. But the more like small one-on-one times, even if it's 15-20 minutes once a week, it goes a long way, because you kind of get so much from that conversation, where they're at, what they're thinking, maybe something that they're trying to ask you but they haven't had the time because they think you're too busy. It's just all those different things that go into that. Yeah, no, that's definitely great advice, because I've been doing quarterly one-on-ones, so I think it makes sense. They in the office with you? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty small office, so we kind of chit chat, but to have like dedicated time to outline time of like, hey, what's going on? Because I have done quarterly ones and I have gotten a lot of information. I never thought of like, hey, maybe I should do this more often. So yeah, and like quarterly ones are usually like more focused around like performance too. Yeah, like it's more of like a planned thing of like they have to prepare, mentally for like, okay, here's your performance, here's that. Like, but for this, it's like, hey, let's go grab a coffee real quick. Let's run down the street, go grab a cup of coffee. How's the kids? How whatever. Like that's the type of stuff that like really builds bonds. No matter what, we're always like, people are always the fundamental part of a business, because we're social animals, man. We have to connect with one another. So when you do that, I've felt that it's helped a lot. Yeah, no, I think that.
I could definitely see that benefiting huge. You were saying like keeping employees around, like it is hard. That is hard. Like currently one of my employees right now who was helping me heavy with taxes, he is actually taking another job at he's basically gonna be an in-house accountant for a larger company. So he's gonna come back during tax time and basically just work 40 hours a week between the two jobs. So that works, but it is hard to, you kind of have to have I guess that's another challenge that I've seen is like, if you can't offer full-time hours and benefits and stuff like that too, you have to have something else to keep them interested. You know what I mean? Something that makes them bought into your brand for sure.
Yeah. Would you consider him an A player? Like he's an A employee,
Oh yeah. Yeah, he reminds me so much of me. Like,
yeah. So good, proactive, self-starter kind of person.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, you know, he's not like, if something holds him up, what I love is just not, oh, I just got to wait to ask Brad and figure it out. He'll either, well, I'm going to try my best, I'm going to use my resources and make a note of it. And when I see him, we'll bring it up and go over it. Or it's way past my realm, I'm just going to skip to something else. It's not, you know, and he's just not scared to work either. That's what I like about it. A lot of people are saying, oh, I want more hours, I want more money and stuff like that. But when it comes down to the time to actually work and work effectively, like, that's not really what they want. They just want you to give them money. They give them more hours, you know, so they have more money. But, you know, I don't know.
He's still vested in you, you said, though, right? He said he's coming back next
Yeah, he's
season.
coming back. Yeah, I told him, you know, he's really wanted a standing desk. So I said, I'll have you your standing desk here in January when you come back, you know, little stuff like that. So we'll see where it goes. You know, he is thinking about moving too, so that's kind of another benefit of the remote accounting firm side of things, is I guess could technically have remote employees. I don't know how well that would work, but I don't know if you guys have any experience in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We both do actually with that part for sure.
Yeah, we've got a guy in the Philippines, Rowan, editing this probably. So
Nice.
Shout out to Rowan.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a hard thing because, I mean, especially with remote, you don't want to. I found that working remote works for me, but I have to have, for me specifically, certain protocols I have to do. So I'll work from home my first few hours of the day because then I'm in my flow state at home. But then I have to transition my settings to, and I've always been this way, where I have to like go to a coffee shop. Now I have an office. I just come to the office and work, you know, for the remainder of the day. But like I have to do certain things to not be that type of person working remote where I'm like, oh, let's run a load of laundry, oh, let's, you know, clean the house, oh, let's do, like, those types of things hit me a lot. And so I have to for me specifically, if I was an employee of a business, I would have to like get those precautions in check and understand that like my productivity has to have a certain type of way for myself. So everybody's different, and like in this this virtual world that we live in, where we don't have to be in the same working space, it's a challenge, man. It is a challenge. So those are definitely things that will hit your radar if they haven't, if you have some remote folks working for you.
I think it might be coming soon. So
yeah.
So definitely whole new set of challenges, I'm sure, come along with that. So
is there any AI tools for finance, financial bookkeeping and stuff like that?
I mean, probably nothing that I've seen.
Maybe hasn't been created yet either.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did see like they had the GPT try to take the CPA exam and stuff like that, and I guess it did pretty poorly on that.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I feel like taxes are very automated. That's also why I don't really want to do individual taxes, because that side of thing, I mean, that's pretty much been automated already for the majority of people. You have a W-2, you take a picture and it uploads it and TurboTax sends it off, and you know what I mean? So that is kind of already been taken care of. What I think would be a cool AI, which might be hard to do, would be because you have to know the tax codes, but then you also have to know their situation. So you'd have to mesh those two somehow together to know where that benefits. Right now I'm trying to work on like 10-step tax kind of thing, something I can put in place and put out there and go through every client, because I already go through certain stuff to be proactive at taxes already, but to get it down and kind of the majority of things. But then it's changing every year too, so you kind of always have to know.
Yeah. You can keep it updated though. Like you can you can create a chat bot that's trained on all that data, and then it will automatically go through those 10 steps with the client. I would that's my first thought.
yeah, I definitely think it's something that I need to look into more, because like the actual filing of the taxes, I mean, that will probably be all AI or whatever, you know, very soon. It's going to be how do you proactively do things in your life to generate certain expenses and stuff like that. That's the one thing that AI probably, I guess it could give you the advice to do it, but then you actually have to go and, you know, put your kids on payroll or whatever, or cut the rent check for your house and stuff like that. So, but to get something to just, all right, here's a list of what you need to do for the next 6 months to help your taxes and so on and so forth.
Based off the information you've given it, or they've given it.
Yeah.
And we're actually working on building things like that for businesses as a service. So,
really?
Yep.
Well, sign me up.
Yeah, nice.
Because I think that would be awesome. You know, right now all of our monthly clients, we meet with them around this time, July, August. We're kind of like CFO services twice a year. We go through, we look at all their profit and loss, their balance sheets, but we'll also look at their overall tax situation, if they have kids or spouse's income. So we look at their income, estimate where we're at tax wise, see where we're at business income wise, and make, you know, strategic adjustments to whatever we need to in the middle of the year. And then we do it again November, December time before the year's over, to kind of do a lot of the same stuff. Yeah. And so to have something that's just consistent, you know, that would be,
if there's patterns like that say, like you're looking at the books of a company, and there's patterns that you always do, like if this company's doing this, we always do this, certain things like that, like you could automate, like you can put all those, even all like their numbers in their books, like on a spreadsheet, and then connect that spreadsheet to GPT, and they do. There's so much amazing stuff that I've been learning.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Data mining one specific person, right?
But yeah, not just data mining, but analyzing, actually using GPT to analyze what's going on, and then you can train a model like that. Not a model, but I guess you could say a model. But you could train it specifically like, this is the data, like here's the columns for on the spreadsheet. So when you look at all this stuff, if it hits these, if it hits these like thresholds, then do this, or if it hits these thresholds, then do this, you know. And yeah, so that there's a lot of exciting opportunity there, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, even just like the most basic things, like put in like, okay, here's W-2, here's profit and loss. What's their tax liability going to be? Yeah. I mean, that, I'm sure it would do.
Match it with code.
Could do that 5 times quicker than me having to, okay, here's this bracket, and then let's take off kid credit, so, you know, stuff like that. It would make the process a lot simpler. That is one thing that is like a big issue is it's not necessarily putting a tax plan on paper, but it's then following up with all my clients like, hey, don't forget to do these things. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What's funny is you could have it do that, what I just said with AI, and then you can also have it send it back to GPT to write an email, and then send that email to your client, and even automate that part.
Send it every 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it would write a custom email too, so it's not doesn't look like it's like a template, or if it doesn't look
canned
like
email
it's
or something.
canned email. Yeah.
Shoot, I mean, even if it is a template, we've been using that a lot for most of our clients. We have access to their bank sign-ons and stuff. Either we create a separate one or whatever, so we can pull their statements, but some people, they send us in their bank statements and stuff every month. So just even having the automation of a template email saying, hey, it's the first, send us your statements, like that's
for sure,
that's been pretty effective. So I could only imagine what, you know, more powerful tools like that could do.
It's crazy.
It's an exciting time, and like we're actually like pivoting, not just pivoting, but video like plus AI services on top of that, you know. So like, because video in a lot of ways does automate certain processes in your business already. Like that's the sales processes. Like when you're introducing someone, like you can automate like your personality essentially in your sales process with video. But you can take that a step further by using AI tools that we can connect through APIs and connecting it like with code, and just smart applications of using these tools that have to be customized on an individual basis. So yeah, I'm really pumped about that.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm kind of pumped about it too, just talking to you actually. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of the social media thing, and I've learned like you can't just like make content and then just post it and be like, oh, I'm gonna be famous soon or something. Like there's so much strategy behind doing that. I'm sure the more tools that you have and the more knowledge you have, you know,
and it's your goals too. It's your goals that are important, because maybe your goal isn't to be famous, but your goal is to get 3 more clients in the door. You don't need to be famous for that, you know. You just need to get it in front of the right people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's something I want to talk to you about maybe then.
Hell yeah.
Because you know, I always tell my wife, I'm like, I want to grow on social media because I want to get more remote clients. It's easier to do that, you know. She's like, I don't know why you want to be famous. And I was like, I don't want to be famous. I was like, if I have 10,000 followers and 1% of those become clients, like that's a lot, of money. Like that's not, you know what I mean?
Even 100 followers and, you know,
10% are clients. That's pretty good still. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the cool thing about having employees though, is I'm like just now really entering this world of like, my goal is now to grow the company.
Yeah, business owner.
Exactly. The goal, what previously was get all my work done. Now the goal is the work is done. I need more work. I need to grow the company strategically, get tools strategically, market strategically, advertise, and not just post random stories twice a week.
And that can, I mean, that's also helpful because it helps you stay in front of people's minds. You know, I posted a photo recently of me holding a camera, and I've had a few people just reminded them like, hey, I'm here. You know, this is what I do. And I had a few people reach out just because of that, you know. So, yeah, a couple people, not a few.
And I think in my world is we get such a higher influx during tax season, obviously. People are like, oh, I made a ton of money last year and I don't have an accountant. So to stay fresh on people's mind in those summer months and fall months when no one cares about accounting and taxes, I think that's a big goal, especially, you know, ramping it up November, December time, because you see all the commercials like TurboTax and H&R Block, like their commercials skyrocket.
Season,
You know, they're a month before taxes are even starting, and you're seeing tons and tons of advertising, and they just stay fresh on people's mind. So yeah, putting together a legitimate marketing strategy is definitely a goal for this year for me, going into next tax season. So
did you see you said you've seen a couple episodes. Did you see Levi Taurus's episode? He was the plumber.
I haven't, no.
He's unbelievable. One, he's like built a business where it essentially works for itself too, and it's scaling and it's doing all these things. But now he says like pretty much one of his main jobs is just to be on podcasts and essentially just build the brand and build the name, and essentially just build the brand awareness of what he's doing and what makes him different and so on and so forth. And that's just like, that's a really big goal for business owners, right? Like just to be able to like work on their business in a way that's like strategic. And what would you do if you had all the time in the world just to make sure that your business is getting put on the map and it's, you know, well known and all these different things? And he's at that point, and it's just a really cool, inspiring story from someone from a small town like Alamosa, I think he's from, in Colorado.
San Luis Valley.
Yep,
probably Alamosa.
It's the same area.
Right there,
So yeah,
I'll have to check it. I'll probably listen to it on the drive home.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's
a good one. Yeah.
He blew us away. He was unbelievable.
A lot of good information. Some value I think he was putting into that, like from some wisdom of running his business.
Yeah. No, it's that's the goal. You know, more podcasts. I've had such a good conversion rate of doing like speaking seminars for, you know, groups of 20, 30 people.
Nice.
So I go to, you know, real estates or barbershops. I've done barbershop stuff like that, and just sit down and talk to everybody. So the more of those things I can do, I know that that's gonna, well, in the past it's definitely yielded good results, you know, of converting people into clients and stuff like that. So the more time I have to do that, I feel like the better. Less working in the business, more working on the business.
Yeah, there's a good book about all that.
Michael Gerber defines the E-myth as the myth of the entrepreneur. Its roots are in the romantic belief that small businesses are started by entrepreneurs, when in fact, they're not. People who start their businesses, hairdressers, graphic artists, plumbers, accountants, were first working for somebody else doing technical work. Suddenly stricken with an entrepreneurial seizure, the idea of being your own boss, doing your own thing, they fall victim to the fatal assumption that if you understand the technical work of a business, you understand a business that does the technical work. The author reveals why knowing the technical work of their businesses becomes their greatest single liability. The technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure takes the work he loves to do and turns it into a job. Suddenly, the job he knew how to do so well became one job he knows how to do, plus a dozen others he doesn't know how to do at all.
Yeah. That's like from that book, is stop working in your business and on your business. Kind of getting out of that, not stop, but how to get out of that. And like, because when you're stuck in that, you are like self-employed and you're not a business owner, you're more of a freelancer, and you're basically a slave to your business as a job, you know, and like you're not growing it. And that's a spot that I think a lot of business owners get trapped in.
Yeah, they do. And that's where I was probably last year around this time, I would say. And that's kind of what made me grow my team a little bit and stuff like that, and start making different moves, because that is how I felt. And I was like, I have a son, I have a wife at home who's busy taking care of everything. I'm owning a business. I'm supposed to have time and money. I have no time to enjoy anything. You know, I'm an accountant and it's August and I'm working 12-hour days because I'm the only one doing it. And it's just, I was to the point where I was just, in my head, I was like, should I just go and get a job in Denver making 6 figures up there, you know, something like that? And I told her, I was like, I really don't want to do that. I think my spirit would die a little bit, you know? So,
I feel that to the core.
So, but I told her, I was like, well, we're going to go for it. 23, 24, like, we're going to really go for it. Because worst case scenario, I'll just scale back the company, you know what I mean, if I really want to. But, yeah, you know, and a lot of people get stuck in that if they want to keep growing. But then what I've noticed, too, is a lot of people that I work with, like in Pueblo specifically, is that's all they want. So, I mean, that works great for them. Like, their goal is make enough money to pay all of the bills, have a car payment you probably can't afford, and then have time off, you know what I mean?
So security.
Yeah, they just want the security. They don't have much growth ambition, stuff like that, to like grow the company in that sense. And so
I think most people don't. I mean, that's most people. I think they not everyone has the ambition that entrepreneurs has. I think most people don't, actually. So yeah, they do. And it's just, they don't have that same like growth, but they're own the business, or they're self-employed, you know what I mean? So it is kind of like, in my head, when I see those people now, I'm just like, why don't you just go get a job? Like, yeah, for sure.
But you know, that's just different mind states, I suppose.
You got a lot of ambition, man. That's good.
Yeah,
you know, that's really important, and it's hard to relate to people when you have that type of ambition, because how are they going to relate to you if that's not something that they even see out of their life, right? They just want the security, and maybe their ambitions lie somewhere else than just, you know, building something like a business that can be creative in their own way, or just like that. Some people just want the financial security so they can have their brain power go towards something else. And so we're all different. I always say, like, a lot of entrepreneurs are like modern day explorers, you know, like back in the day, like those explorers who like hit the ocean and like all the like the craziness of like thinking of that way, you know, back then, like, why would you ever want to do that? We have everything here. Like, why would you want to like explore the ocean? Like, it sounds like nonsense. But if you think about entrepreneurship, it is a lot of nonsense, and a lot of times it's sometimes illogical with the things that you do, or why you'd put yourself through all this pain to grow something, right? But it means something to you. Like, has your name on it, DOS Financial. It means something.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I love that, actually. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah,
it's very true.
So I have a quick financial question, because do you give advice to like whether a company should go LLC or S-Corp?
Yeah, I do. That's like,
I have one S-Corp, but like for our audience out there, like describe maybe like when the time is for like an LLC to go to S-Corp. So
first off, are you a financial advisor?
No.
So
can you?
This is not a financial advice.
Yeah.
You just have to say it on the camera, right?
I'm not a financial advisor. This is not whatever. I don't know. Like don't do what I say.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think legally it really matters, but
Joe Schmo perspective,
kind of like the main difference really is like what your net income is on that business, not bringing in, but what your actually net income is after all of your expenses and stuff like that. That's not like the end all be all, but that's a pretty good idea, because when you're an LLC, what happens is your net income at the end of the year, you pay income tax on it, but you also pay self-employment tax on it. That self-employment tax is 15.3%. Normally that's split when you have a W-2 job, but self-employed, you pay it all. So in a scenario where you make $50,000, you're paying 15% self-employment tax, plus you're paying whatever your income tax rate is with all of your other income added up. Maybe 12, maybe you're in 12% bracket, maybe you're in 22. So a lot of times you can be close to 50% when you add in state, federal, and self-employment tax. When you switch to an S-Corp, what happens is you become a W-2 employee inside of your company, and you then take W-2 pay. That pay you pay your 15% on, and then everything above that, that's net income, you take as a distribution, which is not considered earned income. It is, so it's not taxed at self-employment rate, so you don't pay your 15.3%. So the key is where is the switching point to where you're saving more money on self-employment tax than it costs to operate an S corporation. A lot of times it's somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 of net income is where it makes sense to where you can run a meaningful salary in the IRS's eyes and pay the additional cost of operating an S-Corp and still make money saving it on taxes. So to operate an S-Corp, you have separate tax return, so that is an additional fee. And then you also, if you're not already running payroll in that company, you have to have some kind of payroll, either software or pay someone to run payroll and pay all your taxes monthly on yourself as the W-2 employee. So that comes with an additional cost too. So once that cost outweighs whatever taxes you're saving, that's when it makes sense. Generally it's like $40,000 to $50,000, and you can usually save $2,000 to $3,000 a year, and then the more you make, the more you save. Because essentially your W-2 income in the IRS's eyes needs to be a reasonable salary for that position. So if you were to scale a company and you're making $400,000, you have to kind of determine how much of this $400,000 is based off working in the company versus on the company, because the money working in the company is all you have to run payroll. So I mean, it's very feasible. You might be making, of that 400, maybe your salary is only 100 or 120, so you're saving 15% on $200,000, $300,000 every single year. So that's the main kind of breakdown of that.
I love that. And that's why people need accountants right there.
Yeah. I mean, company structure is like one of the easiest, biggest ways to save money on taxes is to make that switch to an S-Corp.
Can you switch that? When can you switch for that?
So officially, you're supposed to make that election switch before March 15th of your current year. Now, you can late file up to 3.5 years after, actually, if you're operating as an S-Corp still. So we've done it with a lot of people. As long as you're LLC and you have an EIN number in place, you can file for that late election. I've never had them reject a late election filing before, but we do take advantage of that. If we have a client who we're not really sure what you're gonna make, you're kind of on the cusp, we'll wait until like middle of the year. We meet in that tax planning and be like, oh, you're definitely gonna be over. Let's send in the 2553 form to switch you over and stuff like that, and then it will switch you over middle of the year, but it's retroactive. So
nice.
I think I like it too, because it also helps me prove income, like with the W-2 in certain instances too.
That's important.
And so that's helpful for, I mean, a lot of things, right? Loans, mortgage, whatever you're trying to obtain, has been super helpful for sure.
Yeah, that's how 80% of our companies are structured as S-Corps. Auto loans, just here's my W-2. I don't even mention I'm a business owner, honestly. They ask for my W-2. Well, here it is. Mortgages, they're still going to deep dive into everything, but it does make the process a bit more simple having that W-2 for sure. And there's even some cool benefits to paying in your taxes through W-2 versus quarterly payments. So if you're paying in quarterlies, you have to, and if you say you don't pay your first quarter payment, and then at the end of the year, the IRS is going to look and say, oh, you should have sent us this much money in first quarter, you're going to get an underpayment penalty. When you pay it in through W-2 income, they don't take into consideration. They just calculate that income tax withheld on your W-2 as spread evenly. So technically, you can pay 0 into your federal income tax all year, and then on December 31st, run a really big paycheck and pay all of your income tax at one time, and you won't get any underpayment penalties.
Wow, that's crazy.
So there's kind of some cool little stuff like that helps people.
It's good to know.
Utilize that money for a whole year, basically tax-free, or not tax-free, but interest-free kind of, so there's some tricks.
Clip that.
What advice do you have for someone who's 6 or 7 years younger than you, who's thinking about opening their own firm, their own financial firm?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I would say educate as much as you can, learn as much as you can. It's always changing, so stay on top of it. A lot of accounting firms, I feel like accounting is kind of an older occupation anyway, and I think a lot of accountants that are in their 50s and 60s is not really staying up to date with a lot of the different laws, and they're kind of a little bit behind. So the more educated you can be, the better, and don't wait to hire people if you actually need it. Hire fast, promote faster, and something else. I forget what the saying was, but yeah, so
maybe get rid of the ones that are not good right
yeah,
out of the gate too.
I've heard
fire fastest.
I've always heard, I can't remember. Yeah, it was Ryan Serhan. I don't know. He's a big real estate guy. He said something in his video. I can't think of what it was. Yeah. Hire fast, promote faster.
Losers. Hire fast, fire faster, promote fastest. You are made up of the people you keep.
I think Gary Vee said something very similar.
Yeah.
I've got really good hiring advice. Learn to fire fast. You guys have your ego tied up in your hiring. You think you're so good at hiring, and then you hire somebody and they're shit, but you make pretend they're not, because firing them admits that you were wrong. So it's your own ego that's holding you back. My ego is only balanced by my humility. I hired somebody for hundreds of thousands of dollars 6 months ago, interviewed him 3 times. I fired him 1 day into working at VaynerMedia. I'm like, fuck. Check your ego in the door. You're not that great at fucking hiring, but good news, nobody is.
Something like that. So that's what I'm learning is if you have the work to do it, don't be scared to hire people, because it's, especially with your first employee, it might be a train wreck, but you're going to learn a lot, and then your second employee is going to come around, and then it's going to be better, and you got to start somewhere. So I wish that I would have moved out of where I was in that one office. I wish I would have moved out 2 years before I did and hired somebody.
Your first 4 years, that's a long time.
Yeah, it was just me for 4 years pretty much in one tiny little office. So
someone else's office too, right?
yeah, I didn't even have my name on the door, on the listing. I had to tell people, hey, it's this suite, my name's not on the door, just come in. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of things in business in general feel risky, and they're not really risky. Just kind of do it.
Life is risky.
Yeah.
No matter what you do.
Yeah.
Alex Hormozi has a good saying. He's like, if you aren't making $1 million, basically you're paying a tax of your income minus $1 million every year. Something like that. Am I murdering that? Am I saying that right? He's basically saying, like, if you don't know how to make $1 million every year, you don't make $1 million. Your income minus $1 million is what you're paying every year.
Potential tax or something like that.
It's the potentialness of it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a frame. It's just a way to frame it. But yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
Instagram is my most popular social media currently. So DOS does taxes on Instagram.
I love that name.
Yeah. you know, I paid the $14 to be verified because I was going to really go hard on Instagram, and I haven't done anything yet. So, so Instagram, as far as social media goes, the best way, but you can go to my website, dosfinancial.com, and then you can find all of our contact info there. You can book a meeting with us right away, which is probably the most effective way. That's just dfinc.square.site, and book a phone call with us, 100% free. Just kind of see what you're needing help with, and we can go from there. It's been super helpful.
Nice. Where in Pueblo are you guys located?
We're downtown Pueblo. We're in the Vectra Bank building downtown. It's across from the Marriott, about a block and a half up from the Riverwalk.
Nice.
So it's a pretty cool little area.
Nice.
I wouldn't say just swing on by unless it's tax season, because no one might not be there, but you know what I mean? But
right.
But yeah, that's where our office is located.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Brad. Thanks so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome. Very insightful. Yeah, it's been great. Any other thing before we wrap it up, Mr. Andrew?
I think that wraps it up.
Well, it's been such a great episode with you. It's been so insightful, like I said before. Hopefully we get to see you here soon, maybe for tax season. We'll come on by and maybe you get a couple clients out of this as well. But yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
This podcast is actually really cool. Like, in all reality, we did a podcast. It lasted 30 episodes. It's a lot of work, and our quality of production was, well, 1/4 the camera. I know that for sure. You know what I mean? So definitely the amount of effort that they're putting into this podcast is way more than most people know. So shout out to you guys, because it's some effort here. I respect it.